Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Seth Bohnhoff.
Well, we had to do with a few showers and storms this morning, but ever since about mid-morning or early afternoon, it's been pretty nice outside. Even had some sunshine for a little bit in a place like Effingham. Temperatures feel pretty toasty as well, but now we're starting to feel things change a little bit. And if you've stepped outside throughout the day today, chances are you've kind of had that feeling in the air where it feels like some storms are on the way. And that feeling is likely to come true here as we look off to our west. Parts of Missouri right now dealing with a lot of severe weather up and down a line. What I'm going to do here real quick is overlay some instability here onto the radar. That's kind of what these orange and yellow colors are. There's quite a bit of it still just kind of hanging out here at home, but notice some of that's starting to fade a little bit. It's kind of all along been a race between can that line get to that instability in time for it to actually be able to tap into it. That's kind of the question as we move forward in time tonight. As mentioned, we've got that instability. Those temperatures into the 70s, 75 in Champaign, 78 down in Effingham as that warm front pushed on through. We've got those dew points well into the 60s as well. So the environment is set up now because of that warm front to give us a chance to see some of that severe weather later on this evening. Here's what your tornado watch looks like at this moment in time, mainly across the I-55 region until 11 p.m. It's kind of where we thought the greatest tornado threat and severe weather threat in general would be. National Weather Service is talking maybe with things kind of trending a certain direction. They could potentially expand this to the east a little bit, but as mentioned, this severe weather risk isn't going to be made the same for everyone, and you can see that here in the Storm Prediction Center outlook. Slight risk basically up and down I-55 and parts to the west of that, and our threat should weaken as we move to the east. I-57 on to the west there has that marginal risk, so you can see the storms deteriorate with time later on tonight. And here's a look at that storm arrival time, talking about maybe 7 p.m. when we start to see the first storms into parts of Cass and Morgan County. Might not be till closer to 8 or 9 p.m. here in the central part of the area, and then we're talking well past sunset and even closer to midnight for our Indiana counties there for that line later on. Let's show you future track and just kind of illustrate certain timestamps here to keep an eye out for. Again, 7, 8 p.m. that's when that line looks to move on in. And you can tell from future track it's still pretty well put together right there. It's going to maintain its strength at least as it enters the area. That's why I-55 has that greatest risk for severe weather and some of those embedded tornadoes within that line. Then you push farther east, that line still holds its shape, still going to be potential for severe weather within that line. It's going to become a lot more scattered in nature though as it continues to march east, as it doesn't have as much instability. Then once we kind of cross I-57, looks like that line is going to kind of collapse a little bit and our severe threat should very quickly drop off. That being said, there is potential there, and there's a decent amount of potential for some pretty active weather here along those intense storms as they arrive. 4 out of 10 in that yellow color there for the tornado risk index. Stays at a 3 out of 10 in this green region and then quickly drops to a 1 out of 10 farther east. Same with those wind gusts, maximum speeds maybe 65 to 70 miles an hour as those storms remain in their strong state there early on, and then that will also taper off over time. So overall, scattered nature the deeper in the night we go on. We'll be watching for all of those hazards, especially as we look off to the west. We're going to head and skip the high temperatures and just show you the 7-day forecast here. After today, things look actually pretty good to start the week. You're talking about sunshine, 70s and 80s there to get this next week started. So we are looking pretty good here once we get through tonight, but next several hours definitely want to keep an eye on the sky here for a little bit.
Yeah, stay alert, have the weather app.
Yes, have it ready to go, and we'll be ready to stream or potentially hop on air if things go a certain direction.
Seth, thank you so much. It's Championship